liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, you were looking so peppy. I had to get up and get ready for the show.
Get going, man. It's almost Friday. It's happy Thursday Eve, Crudy. Always a pleasure, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Dom, I have a question for you and perhaps the entire panel of listeners at this very moment. Will she or won't she?
Oh, yes, she will.
Oh, yes, she will. Breaking news. We've got it from the CNN. Ford lawyers say she is open to testifying, but not Monday. Not a Monday sort of person. I know that feeling, Dom. What about you?
Yeah, for sure, man. You ever try listening to this show on a Monday? We have a hell of a time reading.
Yeah, whoever does the reading aloud on Monday is sure bad at it, but only on Mondays. Let's try a little Thursday reading aloud. I've got a report here from the CNN's Christine Blasey Ford opened the possibility she would testify before Congress about her accusation of sexual assault against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. An email her lawyer sent to the Senate Judiciary Committee said Ford would be prepared to testify next week if the senators offer her terms that are fair in which ensure her safety.
Wow.
The message came a day ahead of a 10 a.m. Friday deadline. Seems quite arbitrary, that Friday morning 10 a.m. deadline.
Well, the Republicans, they got to jam this in. Sorry if you were abused by our guy back in the day, but, you know, who's got time for all this?
Why not high noon? Why not midnight? Anyways, the message came a day ahead of a 10 a.m. Friday deadline set by Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley of Iowa. Maybe the now elder Mr. Grassley, maybe he likes to get the early bird. Maybe he likes to get down to the Ponderosa early, Dom.
You got to get the senior special.
Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley of Iowa for Ford to decide whether she would appear before a hearing he set for Monday. Testifying Monday, however, and here's a quote, Dom, is not possible. And the committee's insistence that it occurred then is arbitrary in any event, Ford's lawyers wrote. As you are aware, she has been receiving death threats, which have been reported to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and she and her family have been forced out of their home, the email said. She wishes to testify, provided that we can agree on terms that are fair and which ensure her safety. Yeah, let's start with that baseline. Can you keep me safe? Does she have to go into witness protection, Dom?
Crudy Kavanaugh has denied the accusation that he sexually assaulted Ford while drunk at a party in his high school years and said he would be willing to appear before the committee to refute it. He was at the White House on Thursday for the fourth consecutive day as he prepares for possible testimony. At the White House, you think he's working with Trump on what to say?
Probably Jared.
Deborah Katz, one of Ford's attorneys, said in Thursday's email that she wanted to set up a call later that day to discuss conditions for Ford's testimony. The New York Times first reported the email. Ford said in a letter through her lawyers on Tuesday evening that she wanted an FBI investigation into the matter before she appeared before the Senate committee tasked with reviewing Kavanaugh's nomination. After Grassley rebuffed the request for an FBI investigation and President Donald Trump downplayed the notion, Ford's attorney, Lisa Banks, said on Wednesday that the rush to a hearing is unnecessary and contrary to the committee discovering the truth. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell expressed confidence on Thursday that Kavanaugh will ultimately be confirmed. McConnell responded affirmatively when asked if he had confidence that Kavanaugh would be confirmed, telling CNN, "Oh, yeah."
What? What'd he say?
Oh, yeah.
Buddy,
oh, yeah.
That's Mitch. That's a chinless Mitch McConnell's quote?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like, what was it, the soda? What was the, oh, yeah.
The Kool-Aid guy.
Kool-Aid, there we go.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
I guess we have the actual letter here from Ford's attorneys. Let's get through it briefly. A quote, I would like to set up a call with you later today to discuss the conditions under which Dr. Christine Blasey Ford would be prepared to testify next week. As you are aware, she has been receiving death threats, which have been reported to the FBI, and she and her family have been forced out of their home. She wishes to testify, provided we can agree on terms that are fair and ensure her safety. A hearing on Monday is not possible, and the committee's insistence that it occur then is arbitrary in any event. Dr. Ford has asked me to let you know that she appreciates the various options you have suggested. Her strong preference continues to be for the Senate Judiciary Committee to allow for a full investigation prior to her testimony. And I don't understand this, Donald Trump, you could tell the FBI, yeah, check it out. Go do it. You have the authority to do that. The FBI, reports that I have heard, conducted their investigation with the Anita Hill controversy in 3 days. They could absolutely get this done. Hell, he could order it tomorrow and still have it done before Monday.
That assumes they want to get to the bottom of these accusations, Tom, that they want the truth. And let's not forget the Trump standard. If you deny it, and you deny it very strongly, then Donald Trump apparently gives you the benefit of the doubt in every circumstance. As long as it's a strong denial, Donald Trump always, believes it? Because he wants everyone to believe his strong denials, Tom.
Right. He knows where they're coming from.
Now, there is a very modest local angle, Tom. The legal team representing the accuser. Now, are you going to read the letter? Is there more you wanted to
No, that was the end of the email here from CNN.
You know that the attorneys for the accuser, Dr. Blasey Ford, they also love them some Tammy Baldwin. And historically, they've been supporters of Tammy Baldwin's campaign. But unfortunately, with the current circumstance happening in D.C., they cannot hold a fundraiser for their beloved Tammy Baldwin. As Bill Glauber reports at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, here's an interesting local twist on the Kavanaugh. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin was supposed to get some fundraising help from two lawyers who represent the woman who accused U.S. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. Deborah Katz and Lisa Banks, longtime Baldwin supporters, were scheduled to host a Cocktails and Conversations event.
Hey!
Sounds like something we'd like to attend.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't afford the price of admission, though. To hold a Cocktails and Conversation event with the first-term senator scheduled for October 1st in Washington, D.C. Now the fundraiser is canceled. No party, Dom. Katz told CNN Thursday an old email invitation had their names listed as hosts. Katz and Banks represent Christine Blasey Ford, a research psychologist who has accused Kavanaugh of assault while they were in high school in suburban Maryland. Since 2011, Banks has given the Wisconsin senator about $5,200. Katz has given $8,100 record show. Baldwin announced her opposition to Kavanaugh shortly after he was nominated by President Donald Trump to fill the seat vacated by retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy. And Dom, if you'll recall, when she was a fine guest on our program last Friday, she confirmed even before the accuser was named publicly, she confirmed for us she's still a no. Responding to the news of the invitation, Baldwin's challenger, Republican Leah Vukmir, I like to call her Nurse Ratched, Dom, blasted the first-term senator in the most despicable manner. Senator Baldwin, who opposed Judge Kavanaugh within 48 hours of his nomination and refused to meet with him, planned a political fundraiser with the lawyers of Dr. Ford, who is now accusing him of sexual assault, Vukmir said in a statement.
What?
You're despicable.
Despicable? I mean, we've seen a lot of projection from Republicans of late.
It is the trend, man. That is this election cycle.
anyone that would embrace my moniker of Nurse Ratched. I'm calling her Nurse Ratched. The left calls me Nurse Ratched. No, mostly me. I call you Nurse Ratched. You've embraced that moniker because you're effectively a despicable human being, Leah Buchmer. And as a politician, you're perhaps even worse. The Queen of Alec, Dom, to call anyone despicable, right. I think is just a projection of the woman looking back at her in the mirror every morning.
The Queen of Alec, Crudy, we heard yesterday Governor Scott Walker accusing his opponent of being bought and paid for getting $1.5 million over 3 election cycles. And what we have here, a couple of attorneys that have given $5,200 and $8,100 since 2011 to Tammy Baldwin. What?
How much do you think the widow Hendricks has put over in the column for Leah Buchmer?
No,
I mean, setting aside Scott Walker's bought and paid for ass, how much do you think Leah Buchmer's cashed the checks for? Just from the widow Diane Hendricks.
Oh, come on, man. If it's third-party groups, you'll never know.
Well, I think some of that is subject to disclosure. I think I could figure it out. A simple Google might get me from here to there. We are the Devil's Advocates. I might use Google. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Come back with us. You all got smartphones. Google it yourself, people. Or I will. Haven't decided yet. Come back with Despicable Dom and Despicable Me. And apparently, you on the phones, if you'd like to join us here at 844-967-2789. This is Real Resistance Radio. It's a big day because we're making plenty of time for you, our audience.
Everybody in here is innocent. Did you know that?
I don't think we are wrong.
I moved on her like a bitch. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Everybody's innocent in here. Don't you know that?
You're despicable.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on Real Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class, Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. From 3 to 4, it's State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa hosting The Joe Costa Show, followed by The Dawn of the Resistance with Maggie Dawn, 4 to 6. Mandatory listening, always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
I'm having a bad day. It's about time that I get my way.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for nasty women everywhere.
I'm having a bad day.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on the socials, YouTube and Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio. You can hit us up on the party line, talk or text, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, your girl, Leah Vukmer, calling my girl, Senator Tammy Baldwin, despicable, if you will.
For what? Why? For having a fundraiser? What?
I think she's projecting, Dom. She's implying there's a connection there because, Tammy Baldwin opposes Kavanaugh, and she's only oppositional to Kavanaugh because these lawyers are raising money for her?
It's so weak. I mean, she's
Don't
desperate, man. The Republicans and my girl Leah specifically, it reeks of desperation.
Well, she is down double digits. If you believe the gold standard, the Marquette University Law School polling, Dom, and I do, I think Leah's down at least 10, 12 points, right? And when you're trailing that badly, and really nothing you've said so far has gained traction against your opponent, well, you got to start projecting some of your own flaws upon your opponent. I mean, we've seen Scott Walker doing this over and over again, Dom. I think Scott Walker being masterful, Leah Vukmer, a poor man's wankinator in this case.
Masterful? I mean, I don't know. I mean, certainly.
Scott Walker certainly has.
He's thrown it out there. I am the education governor. Well, BS, but
I am the pre-existing condition governor.
Yeah. I got one, Curdy. I got one. I am the jobs governor.
Dom, above and beyond that one, I think Scott Walker came out in his newest political ad and said, "Are you sick of all the negative ad campaigns going on right now?"
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what a bad guy Tony Evers is. So, I mean, the projection, the casting the negative upon your opponent, Tom, it is the only tactic that these unappealing Republicans have left here in the state of Wisconsin. And I'd like to know, what do you think they're going to project next, be it upon Tony Evers, be it upon Tammy Baldwin? What do you think they're going to project next? I'd like people's participation in this. 844-967-2789. What negative qualities that the governor or Leah Vukmer, pick your unpalatable Republican here, what qualities that they have are they either going to claim are the negatives of their opponent, or which of their opponent's strengths are they going to appropriate and claim for their own? See the earlier example, the education gubernator.
Ooh, I got one.
What? Go ahead, Dom.
I am the transparency governor.
Oh, that's a good one, Dom.
See, you better call. I'm going to use them all up. 844-967-2789. Of course, we already threw out governor's claim, the education governor. And our pal, Wisco Paul, he's going to say he's the roads governor. I mean, come on, let's get some callers, Pete.
He's the smooth roads governor.
Yeah.
That would be pretty ironic. Hey, nothing but smooth roads ahead for the state of Wisconsin as long as I'm the governor. I can't wait till Scott Walker starts saying, you see that guy? He's got a male pattern baldness issue going on.
I'm the male
sort
pattern baldness governor?
Cabinet injury.
844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY.
And also
the floating eye.
Yes, the Marty Feldman eye. He's got Marty Feldman eyes.
Pete from Milwaukee, you're first. What will be the next projection offered by the so very desperate and humiliated Republicans?
Well, you could say, hey, I'm Scott Walker, and you know what? I've only had 8 years on a job, and I'm still learning. I'm not doing that great a job, but come on, give me another chance. After all, it's only 4 more years. I'll get it right sooner or later. You'll be driving on some roads, maybe. Come on, just give me one more chance.
The second chance governor.
Yes. He needs another chance. I mean, what the heck? Come on.
Wouldn't he be more like the strike 3 governor? He's already been given a second chance, boys.
A second chance.
That's right. We need a second chance. And he's just a little bit of a slow learner because he didn't get through college, but he's working on it.
He's working really hard. Pete, thanks for the call, man. 844-967-2789. The second chance governor.
Do you think the gubernator is going back to night school, trying to earn his doctorate from the University of Phoenix? Well, first, of course, he'd have to get his undergrad, and then he'd have a lot of master's level work to do.
Well, it's been a while. He may have to do some prereqs just to get back in, you know.
Wait, Dom. Again, we are seeking your ideas, you, the fair audience of the Devil's Advocates radio show, Real Resistance Radio. Want to get your... I know I stuttered that a little Trump-like, but...
Sounds suspicious.
Real Resistance Radio. Want to get your ideas. The Republicans, they are out of good ideas. All they can do now is project their negative qualities upon their opponents or steal something good from their opponents. I guess I'd be curious. What's your idea, people? Listen right now in Milwaukee, all across the state of Wisconsin, hell, all across the nation. 844-967-2789. I got one quickly, Dom. I can't wait for him to call Tony Evers a frequent flyer.
Paul from the SAC, you're up. What do you got for us?
You mean Mark from the SAC?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Yes, Mark, you're up. My bad.
That's quite all right. I thought this piece was supposed to give a chance to not Scott Walker, but it's pretty disturbing what's going on. There's another party heard from.
Is that your stomach growling, Mark?
No, that's the dog. He doesn't like me talking on the phone, but it's pretty disturbing that the Republicans are lining up behind Kavanaugh, not even wanting to hear this woman give her side of the story, and the fact that Kavanaugh does not want to take a lie detector test. Apparently, that's pretty damning as far as I'm concerned.
You know, the next thing the White House is going to be doing is accusing this Dr. Blasey Ford of grabbing him by the dingling, Trump style, Dom.
Oh, it was all her fault, right?
She's the aggressor. She grabbed him. When you're a doctor, they just let you do it.
Oh, hell, Crudy, if you believe Kavanaugh, he wasn't even there.
844-967-2789. Republicans only good at projecting at this point. What sort of despicable tactics will they use next? Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
You're despicable.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
Here's how you get them. If someone invites you for a cocktail, you bring them beer. If someone invites you to dinner, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way.
I am sick and tired of big power brokers telling voters what's important, instead of the other way around. So, I joined the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. It's a community of like-minded local progressives where the members help determine what issues are important. And with the aid of professional organizers and some of the top progressive strategists in Wisconsin, we make the powers that be take notice and action. We're working on fair elections, the climate crisis, immigrant rights, electing progressive candidates, and more. Plus, we have a campaign called Radioactive that supports this station and Real Resistance Radio. So, come help us reclaim our power as voters.
Become a member of the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. Go to citizenactionwy.org.
Every day, we see more and more divisiveness in our country.
and a president in Donald Trump who tweets and shouts and tries to distract us from getting things done in our community. But in Wisconsin, we have a senator who's fighting back and staying focused on what matters. It's Tammy Baldwin who's fighting to make health care affordable and protect people with pre-existing conditions like cancer and diabetes. She wrote the Partners Act to help men and women get vocational and technical training for jobs that can support a family. And it's Tammy Baldwin who has introduced the Fair Chance Act that would ban the box. So anyone seeking a job who's been previously incarcerated doesn't have to check a box at the beginning of the hiring process. Every day, we have a senator who's focused on what matters.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. A federal judge has ordered Wisconsin to cover transition surgeries for transgender UW employees. U.S. District Judge William Conley said there is no legally valid reason to exclude medically necessary care for employees. He also called some of the state's arguments, quote, unhinged from reality. The judge said the current policy violates Title VII, the Affordable Care Act, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Rain this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, low 60s in Madison. Friday, partly sunny, temperatures falling through the day to the low 60s by about 5 p.m. Saturday, mostly sunny and cool, highs only in the low 60s. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gosted.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croat are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, I've got a little pop culture I want to insert right now into the Kavanaugh conversation. I found this at the Daily Beast. And again, the phone line's open to you. If you'd like to insert what you think the Republicans will project next upon some poor unwitting Democrat, their opponent, someone beating them in the polls, join us. The phone lines are open, 844-967-2789. What I found at the Daily Beast, Dom, is Sarah Silverman. You know who I mean, the female comedian. And she's got a little cold open. She does a little show, I don't know if you're aware, for the Hulu, the online network Hulu. And like when Fancy Brian's ready for it, like to play it for our audience, Dom. I believe we're ready. Hopefully not profane.
Hopefully.
I did not find it to be profane, but I sometimes miss the profanities because I drop them outside of this radio experience with some frequency. So hopefully I didn't miss it in my own internal listening to this. But here it is. Sarah Silverman, her little cold open commentary on the Kavanaugh and why she remembers and he does not.
Oh, you're going to absolutely love it. I just watched it. It's called John from Cincinnati. Oh, I got to go. Hey, guys, it's Sarah Silverman. It's a couple hours before the show, and I'm just looking at the news. You're probably aware that Brett Kavanaugh's been accused of sexual assault, which is bringing the confirmation process to a screeching normal pace. Of course, Kavanaugh denies the accusation, but the victim, Dr. Blasey, says that a heavily inebriated, a.k.a. shwasted, Kavanaugh pinned her down onto a bed, groped her, held his hand over her mouth so she couldn't scream, and tried to take her clothes off at a high school party in the 80s, which sounds kind of like a John Hughes movie, maybe like the rapiest of John Hughes movies. If this is true, Kavanaugh does not remember it at all. And, why would he? It was clearly not a life-changing moment for him. But for her, it had a lasting effect. And of course it did. She was held down against her will. Adrenaline is released into your body during moments like this. It's why you remember them. It's why, people remember exactly where they were when JFK was shot, or when 9/11 happened, or when they found out that Garth Brooks was Chris Gaines. A lot of people are saying that Dr. Blasey did it for attention, and, maybe they're right. Because now that she's speaking out, she's gotten so much attention online and in real life that she had to move. She had to f***ing move. Isn't that fun? I think she's doing something, really brave. And now in this time when we should be thoroughly vetting Kavanaugh, we are vetting her. Someone who's exposing her personal life at the expense of her entire life. And she's okay with it because that's the code she lives by. Kavanaugh lives by a slightly different code.
We had a good saying that we've held firm to this day, as the dean was reminding me before the talk, which is what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep.
I mean, whatever you think of him, you gotta admit, the guy is funny.
So little Sarah Silverman, Dom, I didn't find it quite funny. He also joined the fraternity, talking about Kavanaugh, joined a Yale fraternity that had the bad reputation for the chant, "No means yes." And they were later the fraternity that Brett Kavanaugh once belonged to at Yale University. Well, they were kicked off campus, Dom.
What? What happens at Georgia Prep Boys School for Losers stays there?
He must not have been adhering to the code, because if he did, then she wouldn't be talking, I guess.
You don't talk about it. It just keeps getting worse. The circumstances of what this guy seems to surround himself with to be. I mean, his buddy, who was apparently at this party, has written a book about how he used to get blackout drunk. I mean, embracing the party lifestyle. 844-967-2789. We've got some callers. Let's get to a few. Jake from Milwaukee, you are next. Jake, thanks for calling today. What do you got?
Yeah, first, just Tom, the new caller. You sound like when you come on the radio, you're already constipated. So maybe go to the bathroom first before you start talking, because you're hilarious, dude. Thank you.
Are we talking about the guy that ended the show yesterday?
Yeah, he called Brian's today, too, and was just trying to do all this deflection, but he sounded angry or constipated. Yeah. My guess he's constipated.
I don't know, man. I think, Jake, there's a little anger in there. There's some angry people out there for all sorts of reasons, but for some reason, it seems to come out. He sounds very frustrated.
Yeah, and when people are like that on the radio, other people think they're dicks. I don't know if that's FCC compliant, but Gary, who I disagree with, he's nice. So there's a certain, thing you should learn there. Maybe on Whitey Tighty Radio, it's great, but on this show, it's hilarious, and we just laugh and scoff at you. Okay. My
Are we talking about Dominic or the caller Tom?
Tom.
Just for clarity.
Point of clarity on that, just so we know, there are two different Toms. The Tom today was Tom from Pewaukee. The Tom from yesterday is Tom from Milwaukee. Milwaukee and Pewaukee, two different places, but both Toms.
All right, got you. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, you guys are missing the obvious Scott Walker
projection
on his new name. Projection?
Yes, what is it?
Injection. He is Wisconsin's first black governor.
Oh!
Obvious!
He's so soulful. How did we not see it?
Yeah, I know. But he truly is. So, that's coming up next after ham and cheese sandwich tomorrow at 1. I'm just waiting for it. Friday news dump.
Well done, Jake. Well done, sir.
Scott Walker was born a poor black boy.
Wisconsin's first black governor, Jake. Good one. David from Mequon. Let's hear what David has to say. David, what do you got for us today?
Hey
David.
Guys. Well, I'm still ticked off about the Packer-Viking game. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
Listen, I wanted to bring to your attention, though, and I think it is serious. I brought it up on a different radio station. What's going on with Keith Ellison? The guy that's running for Attorney General for the state of Minnesota right now. And there we have a victim, Karen Monahan, who's actually posted different things, and she's got evidence showing the accusations against Ellison that, he was abusive and everything else. and is kind of being swept under the rug because prior to that, keep in mind, he was accused by another woman a long time ago. He was in a police report, the same exact kind of a thing, sexual abuse, and he was an abuser. And then the other thing I want to point out, and I brought it up, if you look on the Daily Caller from, I think it's the date of 8/11/13 in regards of Cory Booker. And Cory Booker is, if you look at what he described, and he put it in the local college paper, I think it was called the Sanford or something, he describes what he did and groped and did all this stuff, and he had nightmares about it. And I guess, if we're going to go down that road, then why isn't anybody calling for Cory Booker? Why isn't anybody calling for him to resign? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know the Cory Booker story. I did find at the Fox News, David, this story, Lucas McClellan is, I don't know how to say Lucas's last name. I apologize, Lucas. Keith Ellison's domestic violence accuser posted a 2017 medical document identifying the Democrat as abuser. Okay, fair enough. But he is subject to election. He's not elected yet. So I would say Keith Ellison, if he's guilty or if he's guilty in the court of public opinion, or even if he's not guilty, he will either win election, he will be the attorney general of a state that's not Wisconsin, although the Devil's Advocates, we play out in the Minneapolis, St. Paul market. We appreciate our audience members up there in Minnesota, but that's not a lifetime appointment to a court. The voters get to decide whether or not he's palatable. I got to be straight with you. I don't know the Cory Booker accusations. I have not heard them.
So I did that. Well, so like I said, you can look that up with Cory Booker. I said that was on the Hill from 8/11/2013. The article or with Keith Ellison, I actually was bringing it up from the Star Tribune from yesterday's article, just to be clear. I did not get that from Fox News. So it was in the Star Tribune, which is the main paper up there in Minneapolis.
Sure.
And the reason why I try to do that is I don't try to get into that whole realm of, trying to get into the mainstream media. And that's one of the reasons why I like your show, because I do think you guys have a different angle on things. But you also give an opportunity for people like myself, whatever, to I guess, speak on the other side and try to just, point out, there's some inconsistencies with the other side as well. In addition,
well, David, let me draw a recent contrast. What about the Democrats when accusations came out about Al Franken? And these accusations came out, he thought they were funny. We've seen photos. We know he did some things that were inappropriate. We know he'd been accused of touching some women, penetration, as I've heard a few Republicans say in the last few days in regards to Kavanaugh, apparently as a defense of Kavanaugh. But Al Franken left the U.S. Senate, sir. And I would compare that to the reaction of Republicans in light of the Access Hollywood tape and Donald Trump's own confessional statement to Billy Bush that he grabs him by the and Republicans elected him anyways. And I've seen this a few times, David, and I'm not casting you in this light, but we've had some pretty troubled callers, I would say, that seemingly are just fine with this. This is young drunk boy behavior. This is boys being boys, and I don't see it that way. And I would say the reaction of the respective electorates, when one of ours is accused, he gets thrown out of the Senate. When one of yours confesses, he gets elected president.
Right. No, I'm not, and Crudy, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that we've been going down, I guess, this road for quite a while. And when I say this road for quite a while, I mean, I'm going back to, JFK days, where he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, I don't think the media ever brought it up back then. I know in the after the fact annuals of history about JFK's.
And I was going to say, we got to keep in perspective that was a different era. It was a different time period in the country's history. And it's hard to, when we go back, 35, 36 years ago, the country was very different than what it is today. So that's the other flip side to all this, that was a lot more common. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, because it was. I think there was very rampant in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think it was quite rampant. Look at the accusers of Bill Clinton. I mean, this really started with Bill Clinton, and some of the most salacious details, the most salacious questions were asked by, go figure, Brett Kavanaugh, the very same guy who now hopes to be impaneled as an associate justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. If you want to know when the tone changed, when we started dragging people's dirty laundry into public, I'd say look back to the persecution, the witch hunt against Bill Clinton. I'm not saying he wasn't guilty of being a despicable human being at differing times in his treatment of women, but you want to know when it entered the public discourse? Go back and look at Breitbart. Go back and look at old Rush Limbaugh transcripts. We are the Devil's Advocates. Tell you what, just stick around and listen to us.
Having a great time.
It was never easy for me. I was born a poor black child.
It wasn't true. It was a Scott Walker, a Scott P. Walker. I'm Scott Kevin Walker.
Here at the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, president of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Real Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 8 a.m. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 8 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's the Brian Kelly Show. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube pages. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line, talk or text 844-967-2789. Let's get to some phone callers. We'll start with Summit Jim from Stillwater, Minnesota. Hey, Jim, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. What do you got today?
Hi there. I've been listening to you guys for years. I've enjoyed your show for years on the internet, and you do have some of the smartest callers, except for that last guy, Dave.
Oh, poor Dave. Lay it on. Tell him, Summit Jim.
I've never called into a radio show, but I had to call on this one. He is using the authority of the Star Tribune to back up his story about Ellison. I read the Star Tribune every day. That was a letter to the editor from a Fox watcher.
Really?
Yep. It wasn't an article. It was a letter to the editor.
Well, Dave at least comes up with sources, which is more than I can say for most of our conservative listeners.
Jim, let me ask you, what's the tone of this story? How is it being received? I mean, is there political consequence to it? What's going on in Minnesota? What's your take?
Well, I actually think there should be more attention to it, but I haven't really followed it that closely. But I was offended by claiming that it was from the fine reporters at the Star Tribune.
All right.
Well,
man.
I do have the source article I found at the Fox News. I'll share briefly. The woman who accused U.S. Rep. Keith Ellison, Dim of Minnesota, of domestic abuse, released on Wednesday what appeared to be a medical document from 2017 detailing the abuse allegedly caused by the congressman. Karen Monahan, an ex-girlfriend of Ellison, published the document on social media just days after saying the Democratic Party smeared her and threatened to isolate her over her allegations against the deputy of the Democratic National Committee. Doctor wrote in the medical document that Monahan states that she was in a very stressful environment for years, emotional and physical abuse by a partner with whom she is now separated. She identifies the individual she was involved with as Congressman Ellison, and she is worried about retribution if she identifies him publicly, the document added. The woman claims the document, dated November 28th, 2017, proves she discussed the abuse story long before she publicly voiced her accusations against the Democrat. She came forward with her story last month, alleging that Ellison sent her threatening text messages and once screamed obscenities at her as he dragged her off a bed by her feet. Ellison has denied all the accusations, saying he never behaved this way. He did acknowledge he was in a relationship with the woman. Monahan previously said that she has a video of Ellison attacking her, but declined the request to release the footage, saying it's too traumatic. The allegations didn't lead to any immediate action against the congressman, except for the announcement that the DNC would review the accusations. He went on to win the Democratic primary election for Minnesota Attorney General. And earlier this week, Monahan said the Democratic Party doesn't believe her allegations, even as it stood behind Christine Blasey Ford, who accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh's accuser of sexual misconduct. No, they don't, Monahan tweeted in response to a question whether the party believes women's stories about misconduct. I've been smeared, threatened, isolated from my own party. I provided medical records from 2017 stating on 2 different doctor visits I told them about the abuse and who did it. My therapist released records stating I have been dealing and healing from the abuse, and 4 people, including my supervisor at the time, stated that I came to them after and shared the exact story I shared publicly, she added. I shared multiple texts between me and Keith where I discussed the abuse with him and much more. As I said before, I knew I wouldn't be believed. Now, there's more to the article. I'll share it over at our page, Tom. Don't usually share the Fox News. Don't usually source the Fox News. But we got plenty of people in the audience. Let's get back to the phones. 844-967-2789.
Wisco Paul, you are next. Thanks for calling, Paul. What do you got for us today?
Man, oh man, it was just so easy when it was about the roads. It just sucked. And I didn't have to get into all this other stuff, you know. I mean, I know Scott O's ever going to fix the roads because he has no ideas. He's void of ideas. As far as the GOP, there's so much lies and corruption there. Who knows what they're going to come up against with? But my guess would be it'll be something against Tony. That'd be my guess.
So you think the next projection, there's a projection coming out, will be anti-Tony, not so much pro whoever they are.
You know, one of Tony's kids
will be anti-Tony. So
one of Tony's kids stole a state van and was moving his buddy, you know.
Hey, you know, one other thing before I leave you guys. I think it'll be something on Tony because they don't want to lose their fearless leader. You know, the guy just sucks. But anyway, This is a nomination for the Supreme Court. It's a lifetime nomination, and that is a big deal. You know, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And my thoughts on this, if they do not have the FBI investigate this guy or the charges against him, this guy's going to go down as a rapist. It's as simple as that. I mean, he has to be investigated. I don't know what people don't understand about that. He has to be investigated because this is a Supreme Court justice. This is a big deal.
Well, Paul, the good news is the FBI could be directed by the president to investigate right now. What do you think the chances of that happening are?
Well, it's him in charge, I doubt it. But I'm just saying, hey, they've got to investigate, or it's not a good deal. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thank you, Paul. Let's get one more in. Cassandra from Middleton, you'll be next. Thanks for calling. What do you got today?
Hey, Cassandra.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Well, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but hell has frozen over.
I did not notice.
Trump, yes, Ivanka. Think about this. Ivanka has told her father to cut bait on Kavanaugh.
Yeah, I'd read that as well,
Now,
Cassandra.
I mean, now we all know that in the brains department, Ivanka, she's missing a few marbles, but when she sees something wrong, don't you think Donald should listen? I mean,
well, I'm not sure that Ivanka's not the smartest Trump to date. I've not heard her accused of being less than intelligent. Now the Trump boys thinking, Beavis and Butthead. Now, I've heard lots of aspersions cast their way, and that's just by Dad. But I always figured Ivanka was Donald's favorite.
She's not all there, but even when someone like Ivanka says, "Hey, Dad, I think you need to let him go," there's a problem.
Yeah, you think it might actually hit home a little bit when it's Ivanka.
Ivanka just wants to get invited to the best cocktail parties once they leave D.C. and go back to their days as socialites in New York City. Come back with us, two socialites doing a little talk radio. More of your phone calls in the next hour at 844-967-2789. Saving time for some Walker bashing.
Just because he says it doesn't make it true.
Stop whining.
I said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
I leave the politics to other people.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Conditional yes. 3 murdered. I'm Mike Moss. The woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault may be getting closer to testifying. Correspondent Manu Raju has the latest on the will she or won't she.
According to the lawyer for Professor Christine Blasey Ford, that testifying Monday, which is the time that the Republicans have set, say you have to come Monday or we're just going to move on. They say in this email that it is not possible to testify on Monday, and the committee's insistence that it occur then is is arbitrary. So they don't want to sit down on Monday, but they're prepared to do it next week.
Reaction at the White House from Jeff Zeleny.
Judge Kavanaugh has been here at the White House for the last 4 days preparing for that public hearing. We are told that he's been talking with officials here, his team of lawyers. They are going pretty aggressively at questions that could come up, all in the possibility that he does face a public hearing on Monday and has to answer questions from his accuser.
A deadly day at a Rite Aid store's distribution facility in Perryman, Maryland. Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor.
At this time, I can confirm that there are 7 people who have been shot in today's incident, including the shooter. 3 people are suffering from injuries which they are expected to survive. 3 others are victims of our shooter who lost their lives here today.
The shooter died from self-inflicted gunshots. No motive is known. Puerto Ricans are marking the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria with choirs, protests, and a funeral procession. The events are meant to remember those who died in the Category 4 storm and protest the conditions of tens of thousands still struggling in the aftermath. California has become the first state to bar full-service restaurants from automatically offering plastic straws. The Dow up 251 to an all-time high. I'm Mike Moss.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
Many economists warn there will be wide-ranging negative impacts from tariffs imposed on China's exports and retaliatory tariffs placed on U.S. goods.
It was January of 2017 when President-elect Trump stepped out of the elevator into the lobby of Trump Tower along with Jack Ma, the head of China-based e-commerce site Alibaba, and announced that Ma would grow 1 million jobs in the U.S.
We are specifically talking about we will create supporting 1 million small business, especially in the Midwest of America.
But that's not going to happen now. In an interview with China's official news agency, Ma said it wouldn't be possible because of the tariffs the U.S. and China have imposed upon each other. Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
A former top aide to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for fraud and accepting bribes. Joseph Percoco was convicted of accepting $300,000 for influence. I'm Mike Moss.
Five9, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy five9s.com.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. Lots going on this weekend. The China Lights Lantern Festival starts this weekend at the Berner Botanical Gardens in Hales Corner. This year's theme is Pandemania. China Lights is open every day except Mondays through the 21st of October from 5:30 to 10 p.m. In addition to 45 new lantern displays, the festival also features Asian cuisine and cultural performances. Also this Saturday is Party on the Pavement in downtown Racine. And Saturday is Pet Fest at the Summerfest grounds in Milwaukee. Pet Fest goes from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It is free, open to all humans and their pets. Activities and attractions include dock diving competitions, agility and lure courses, training, trick clinics, a vendor marketplace, music, food, and more. Parking is also free, but please do not allow your dog to drive the car. Poet Lane Hall will be reading tonight at the VAR Gallery at 643 South 2nd Street. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gosted.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We've got a audience participation exercise, Dom. We've been asking people to call us and tell us how the Republicans will project their flaws, let's just call them, Dom, for lack of stronger words, upon their opponents. And Tony did tweet us out, found this one at Devil Radio. Walker already projects himself as the comeback governor. I mean, he's got this whole graphic, the Wisconsin comeback. Then, talking about 2010, the unemployment rate 9.3%. Then, Dom, wait for it, $3.6 billion deficit.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Then double-digit increases in the tax burden, because of Jim Doyle's recession, Dom. K through 12 education, he says $10.7 billion. Now, we're at $11.5 billion, only a decade later. Dom, 118% increase in 10 years pre-freeze, talking about tuition at the UW system, and 6 straight years frozen. The guy thinks he's a Disney movie, apparently, Dom. A couple more. 7th national health care quality, and Scott Walker brags we're now first nationally in healthcare quality, Dom.
Oh, really?
Because the pre-existing condition governor has made it great for all Wisconsinites. State tourism, he's taking credit for that. Everybody wants to visit. Nobody wants to live here, apparently. And 0 state funding for broadband. And now it's $41.5 million invested. But, Dom, don't forget, this man turned back $23 million in broadband investment from the federal government on day one. He threw that back along with the high-speed rail that would connect Madison and Milwaukee, because nobody ever would ride the rail. We'd much rather drive over the Scott holes.
The roads in Wisconsin ranked 49th in the nation. But, Crudy, I can already see it right now. Governor Walker's going to come out and call Tony Evers the special interest governor.
Right? That would be clever.
Ah.
That would be a hell of a projection.
That's what we're doing.
844-967-2789. Who's next, Tom?
Matt from Sussex. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates on Real Resistance Radio. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Matt.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, I got 2 quick points for you. Maybe this is a little off topic, but I've seen a name out there, Maggie Turnbull, who is running for governor, state of Wisconsin, and I'm just hoping that this doesn't end up turning out to be another, like an Al Gore, George W. Bush kind of thing. And then the other quick point I want to make is last night, I saw Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 11/9, and that's a movie worth going to see. So I'll leave you guys with that.
Matt, let me ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from that movie?
I think there's corruption on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrats.
We just don't have any power to corrupt us currently, sir.
They'd love to be more corrupt if they could cash the checks, perhaps. But, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the gobs of money, duffel bags of money. And thanks for the call, Matt. Always appreciate hearing from our audience. 844-967-2789. The gobs of money, it's corrupting. There's just no getting around it, and some people are more susceptible to that than others. I think that's more of a personality trait than a political trait.
Well, I have not yet met the political candidate who is Maggie Turnbull, apparently an independent run governor. But I can tell you this, Dom, this is not the year for third parties. No offense to our friend Phil Anderson. No offense to Maggie Turnbull, whoever she may be. But you're either voting red or you're voting blue this year, Dom. There is no middle ground. This year is not the year for third-party hopes and dreams.
Everybody can make their own choices. I would recommend this year, go blue. 844-967-2789. Bill from Oconomowoc, you are next. Thanks for calling the Devil's Advocates. What do you got, Bill?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, I just got to ask you guys, which one of you guys had that plane that went over Lambeau Field? Was that you guys?
The one with the Scott holes? We don't have that kind of money, man.
Right. I thought, now there they go. Now they got an Air Force, too. You guys are awesome. Hey, I've got one for our buddy Scott. You know, now that he's going to cover everybody with a pre-existing condition in Wisconsin, let's applaud him, and let's have him sign a piece of paper that says if it doesn't happen, he's done in politics for good.
Oh, Bill, I appreciate it, man, and I hear what you're saying.
Holding him accountable.
Yeah, he's never going to
slippery.
He's never going to do that, Bill. Hell, this guy claimed he was going to create 250,000 jobs in his first 4 years. It's been a little longer than that. He's not even there now, Bill.
He also said signing right to.
But I think he will show how his lack of credibility by refusing to put his name on anything, but saying he's going to give them everything. I think that's got to be brought out. Many people believe he's going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, let's just prove that Walker has no intention of doing this.
I like the way you think, Bill. Thanks for reaching out, man.
You know, I think the man's something of a eel, Dom. He's a slimy bastard, that Scott Walker. 844-967-2789. Join us on the phones. Hardly any slime at all on this show, Dom.
Never.
Let's jump into our next topic, back to Kavanaugh. Jennifer Rubin, this opinion piece found it at the Post. I want to share it with the audience. In an infuriating rush to seat Kavanaugh, senators say the darndest things. Kids and senators, Dom. Jennifer Rubin writes, Senate Republicans, as we've seen since a credible allegation of sexual assault was raised against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, insist on demonstrating why they don't deserve to hold the majority. Christine Blasey Ford's detailed accusation, backed up by a polygraph test and notes from her therapist years back, have brought out the worst in Republican senators, and not just the male ones. Senator Dean Heller, Republican Nevada, declared that the allegations amount to a hiccup in a confirmation process that needs to wrap up and fast. Nevada voters might want to inform him, though, through their votes in November, that losing a Senate seat is just a hiccup in his career. His attitude exemplifies the don't care about the facts attitude that fuels Republicans' insistence on meeting an arbitrary deadline for confirmation. In parentheticals, Rubin writes, one wonders whether there is a best sold by 925 label on the nominee, signaling that his nomination will curdle and spoil if allowed to sit on the shelf much longer. Republicans know there's a victim here, and it's Kavanaugh. Senator Lindsey Graham has declared that Democrats can beat him on the law. Can't beat him on the law, so they're trying to destroy his life. Ford, of course, is the one who has been forced to move, has received death threats, and has been cast as a liar or a fabulist. Graham then let on that it really doesn't matter what she says. Here's a quote. I'm going to look at what she said about Brett Kavanaugh in high school and compare that to everything else I know about Brett Kavanaugh, including his denial, he said, and I'll make the decision. In other words, he has already decided what a great guy Kavanaugh is. So eye roll, exasperated sigh. He'll let Ford have her say and then barrel on to the inevitable conclusion, the assumption that she must not be telling the truth because she waited years, as thousands of sex crime victims do, ignores the very real possibility that Kavanaugh either blotted out the incident or simply cannot admit to an act at odds with his self-image. Each is possible. Republicans seem incapable of seriously considering the latter. By the way, do Republicans take issue with the victims of clergy sexual abuse who also bottled up their horrid memories until they were well into adulthood? Actually, there's another victim, Senator Susan Collins. If you believe what she is saying, she has taken to whining about nasty messages she said her office has received concerning Kavanaugh. No one should leave obscene or threatening voicemails, but is there a single member of Congress who hasn't received some over the years? Apparently, Collins is the sole exception until now. Moreover, while salty, the sort of voicemail she describes is frankly nothing to complain about. Have you seen the emails where Kavanaugh talked about Roe v. Wade not being settled law? He effing lied to you. How effing naive do you have to be? I've wondered the same thing. I confess, Dom.
844-967-2789. Jennifer Rubin. That is a conservative, folks, at the Washington Post.
Well, there's more to the piece. I thought you were going to carry the ball, perhaps all the way to the finish line, Dom.
You got to take a break, Crudy. You got to pause for the cause.
Instead, we've fumbled on the 20. Come back with us. We'll practice more ball security on the other side, we swear. 844-967-2789. Your call's always welcome here.
My party is going bat crazy.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Impeachment is about restoring honor and integrity to the office.
And we can all look in a mirror and find some blame somewhere.
On many sides. On many sides.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. And the phone lines are open. You can join us toll free. You can talk or text at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I wanted to bring this Jennifer Rubin piece to conclusion, if I could. If you don't mind, my buddy.
Please do.
I was talking about Susan Collins, the real victim here. And I'll read on from the Rubin piece, somewhat redundantly. Actually, there is another victim, Senator Susan Collins. If you believe what she is saying, she is taken to whining about nasty messages she said her office has received concerning Kavanaugh. No one should leave obscene or threatening voicemails, but is there a single member of Congress who hasn't received some over the years? Apparently, Collins is the sole exception until now. Moreover, while salty, this sort of voicemail she describes is frankly nothing to complain about. Now I'm going to jump down to the next paragraph. Even weirder, she suggests that an FBI investigation might be needed after Kavanaugh and Ford testify. Huh?
What?
And if the FBI investigation finds something, wouldn't they have to come back to be interrogated? No one seriously thinks Republicans would allow that after Monday's hearings. Collins might want to consider what would happen if more information comes to light after his confirmation, suggesting that the incident did occur and he lied about it. We've not had an impeachment of a Supreme Court justice since Samuel Chase in 1804, but another is not out of the question. In sum, Dominic, Republicans make the same infuriating false assumptions over and over. Here's a few bullet points and the conclusion. Bullet point number 1. Ford has motive to lie, but Kavanaugh's denial is completely believable.
Right.
Bullet point number 2, according to Jennifer Rubin, the Senate has no need to seek testimony from the eyewitness in the bedroom where the attack allegedly occurred. Mark Judge, the guy that wrote the book about his drunken days in high school, Dom. Here's bullet point number 3. A vote must occur next week. Bullet point number 4. No investigation to uncover additional witnesses or evidence can be had until it's too late. Number 5. The real victims are Kavanaugh or the senators. And finally, here's the final bullet point Jennifer Rubin offers. There is no harm in jamming through the nomination, even with the distinct possibility that Ford is telling the truth. The Senate Republicans did a fine job destroying the Supreme Court confirmation process. Now they're doing an equally effective job demonstrating their own cluelessness. Voters have recourse in less than 7 weeks.
Oh.
So writes conservative columnist Jennifer Rubin, again the headline, in an infuriating rush to seat Kavanaugh, senators say the darndest things.
844-967-2789. She makes some fabulous points. You make fabulous points, our fine audience. Matt from Hartford, you are next. Thanks for calling the Devil's Advocates. What do you got, Matt?
Hey, guys. So just for those keeping score at home, in the GOP/Trump America, where they control everything, so the punishment for being accused of rape is only potentially, not getting to be a Supreme Court justice. Like, that's his punishment. Whereas the punishment for actually just making a claim is death threats and having your reputation destroyed.
And having to run away from your home.
Yeah, I don't understand how they think so literally the worst thing that could happen to a straight white guy in this situation is that he doesn't get to be one of 9 Supreme Court justices in the highest court of the land. Like that.
Right.
It just seems so unfair,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it is. I mean, what a world. What a world, Matt.
Woe is him. And I don't understand why, this is going to, the Republicans need another drag on their ability to relate to women, that they're going to ram through this nominee and think it's not going to have any effect come November.
I don't know.
One of them is just going to be looked at as a Me Too denier, even more so.
Well, perhaps, but maybe that's the long game, right? Well, we'll have a couple of martyrs will sacrifice themselves so we can get a conservative on the court for another 40 years.
Yeah, I'm saying impeachment's still on the table. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Now, are we talking about presidential impeachment or justice impeachment?
Couldn't it be both? But how can we, I mean, realistically, folks, right, left, middle, wherever you're at, man, woman, believer, don't believer, believe him, don't believe him, obviously we have a conflict. How can we possibly go, how is it appropriate to go to another hearing without having an official FBI investigation, whereby the witnesses or those involved would have to testify or talk to the FBI and they would have to tell the truth, and there would be repercussions if they did not. How, and we could do it right now, and it could be done before Monday. It could still happen. Why is it so difficult to just say, yes, let's do this? Let's have an independent investigation, the FBI. Why not do that? What are the Republicans so afraid of?
Well, they're afraid that they've nominated a rapist to be impaneled on the U.S. Supreme Court, and he might be exposed, and they would like to forgive him his youthful indiscretions, Dom, because rapiness in high school, that's to be forgiven.
Right. I mean, who didn't grab a little ass when you were a kid, right? That shouldn't stop you from, being appointed for life on a Supreme Court, whereby you would make decisions about, people grabbing ass.
Dominic, what was the motto down at Georgetown Prep? What happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep.
That's what I heard, yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with Samantha Bee. Met her at the DNC. Took a fine picture with her and I. Very nice lady, very funny lady. And she apparently mentioned the slogan of her high school last night on the show, Dom. They were called the Toronto Tigers. And their motto, Dom, we don't rape.
All right, Samantha Bee.
Samantha Bee, a funny lady. We are the Devil's Advocates, occasionally clever. We always appreciate your contribution to the big show. The phone lines, they're toll-free. They're open for your calls and texts right now. That number, 844-967-2789. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written?
Everybody's innocent in here. Don't you know that?
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light.
Man, come on. I had a rough night, and I hate the f***ing Eagles, man.
Five Nines, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, everybody. If Scott Walker were made of cheese, would you eat him? I don't know, and I don't want to find out. That's why I listen to Real Resistance Radio.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes, exclusively on Real Resistance Radio. Call in live at 844-967-2789 and give your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on local and national topics. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m., it will not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes on Real Resistance Radio. Always streaming live on realresistanceradio.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gostad. Racine Common Council member Sandy Widener has brought to light what she calls a case of secrecy and concentrated power in local government by uncovering a petition for access to public roads that has been sealed by a Racine County judge. Advocates for open government are criticizing the move, saying they have never heard of a public records suit being sealed or any kind of case without some kind of record of who the parties are and why it was under seal. Gunman wounded 4 of his co-workers at a software company in Middleton yesterday. The shooter was shot by police and later died at the hospital. Police say the man worked at the company and was armed with a semi-automatic handgun and extra ammunition. The motive for the shooting is not yet known. Rain this morning, cloudy this afternoon with highs around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a slight chance of rain. Lows in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, low 60s in Madison. Partly sunny on Friday. Temperatures falling throughout the day to the low 60s by 5 p.m. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gostad.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Real Resistance Radio. Your phone calls always welcome here. We hardly even screen them. If you're sober enough to talk, you're on the radio with us. 844-967-2789. I'm not even clear that sobriety is a requirement, Dominic.
I don't think
it certainly
not for the host. It's not.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, my good man. 844-967-2789. Now, Dom, you were doing a little investigative journalism, or at least looking at the Department of Workforce Development, the Wisconsin Jobs Agency, if you will, Dom. The new BLS numbers are out, and they don't talk about the number of jobs that we have, in this case, lost here in the state of Wisconsin over the last 2 months, Dom. Although lots of mention of manufacturing jobs added year over year for whatever that's worth.
It is really a treat to try to read through this document. State of Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development. Of course, this is the propaganda arm of Governor Walker. They get to filter the BLS data through and, explain to you, the headlines, the big stories, like this one from today. BLS data, according to the Department of Workforce Development, Wisconsin adds a statistically significant 36,300 private sector and 22,500 manufacturing jobs over a year. It's like, okay, that's a lot of words. But then I actually looked at the data, Crudy, and then I looked at last month's report as well. And here's what I found, and I'm looking for someone to verify this. I haven't seen any other reporting on this yet. But the jobs numbers in June, we had employment of 3,092,000. In July, we had 3,090,000. And in August, the preliminary numbers are 3,083,200. Now, my math says that's a loss of 8,800 jobs in the last 2 months. 6,800 jobs lost last month in August from July.
Yeah, that would seemingly be accurate, Dom. I'm looking at the very same measure, the very same chart that you're looking at, my little buddy. And in fact, if one looks only at the unemployment number here in the state of Wisconsin from July to August, well, ironically, Dom, that number's gone up by 2,000 as well. So the unemployment, the number of people claiming first-time unemployment benefits, that number's up, Dom, in the state of Wisconsin. That would further reinforce your assertion we ain't gaining jobs under Scott Walker. We're losing jobs. I wonder if he'll talk about that on the stump. Hell, Dom, even the vaunted, the lowest ever unemployment rate is ticked up to 3%.
And here's the key in the under the title in the most recent report from today from the Department of Workforce Development. For 7th consecutive month, state unemployment rate stands at 3% or less. Well, last month it was 2.9%. This month it's 3%. We lost 6,800 jobs. Again, this is a preliminary number. These could be revised, but they've been revised in the past. We'll see. But that's almost 9,000 jobs in the last 2 months that have been lost here in the state of Wisconsin. And I got to wonder, why? What, winning? I mean, we have, certainly a huge expansion of our growth here over the last 10 years. I mean, from Barack Obama carried through now with Trump. But we see statistically we are not keeping up with our neighbors. We still lag behind our neighbors. And now we've lost 8,800 jobs in 2 months. I'm wondering, what the ads are going to say, Governor Walker. Are you the jobs governor? Because you still
our economy's on fire.
It's on fire. We still haven't reached the 250,000 job promise, campaign goal, whatever you call it, has still not come to fruition, and now we're sliding backwards.
Now, Dominic, if I look at the chart of revisions throughout the course of the year to date, starting with January of 2018, now the initial statement in January of 2018 is the state of Wisconsin had created 8,200 jobs. That was revised downward to 7,100 jobs, a 900 subtraction, if you will. Now, in February, Dom, the preliminary number was that we had lost 300 jobs that had been revised upward by 4,000 to a net 3,700 jobs created. And we had one more decent month. That was March of 2018, about 8,200 jobs created, Dom. And then we went into the red a bit in both the months of April and May of 2018. After revisions, Dom, we're still net losing jobs. About 6,400 jobs lost in the late spring here in the state of Wisconsin. Now, after revisions, Dominic, the revision for the month of June shows a net growth of jobs here in the state of Wisconsin, about 6,700 jobs created. That's the revised number. The revision for last month was downward by about 1,900 jobs, but is still claiming a net growth in jobs in July of 2018. But of course, that doesn't factor in the August job losses. So, Dom, while I agree with you, there has been a loss of jobs. It's 6,800, but that's entirely in the last month.
Right.
There is a downward revision. What Walker's administration claimed was the number of jobs created in the state of Wisconsin, a downward revision, but still net jobs gained. But when you look at it, Dom, this is a very inconsistent track record. It's like black, red, red, black, black. I mean, this is not the sign of a stable and robust jobs-growing economy. And I, again, point out, greater number of unemployment claims this month and an unemployment rate that's going up.
844-967-2789 if you want to join us on the phones. Crudy,
how does that bumper sticker out for the Goobinator?
I don't think it does, and that's why we have him, labeling these reports as they are. Of course, that's the point. They got to spruce them up. You put your best foot forward. Raymond Allen, secretary over at Department of Workforce Development, throwing lots of numbers, but at the end of the day, negative jobs report for last month, unfortunately. I don't take glee in these numbers. I'd love to see it continuing to grow. We want people working, and hopefully they're paying great wages, and payrolls are increasing. Take home is increasing. But just because Governor Walker, you're responsible for what happens under your watch, right? And so when Governor Walker first got elected, he claimed he had this jobs plan. You remember the jobs plan, Crudy? It was like 2 pages. It was an absolute joke. Cut red tape. There's my jobs plan. I'm going to create 250,000 jobs. If Scott Walker did nothing, we would have probably statistically, looking back at history and seeing how our neighbors have done, we would have created 250,000 jobs by doing absolutely nothing. Governor Walker is such a bad governor. We are statistically behind where we should have been, having done nothing. Doing nothing is a choice, is an option, Governor Walker, but he's made it a lifestyle.
Dominic, one of the first jobs I had out of college, and I got to admit to the audience, I have not had a lot of adult jobs. I've been primarily, not because I've been unemployed for any period of time. I mean, I've been unemployed maybe a couple days of my life, but for the last decade or more, I've been self-employed. I guess that's the distinction I would draw. Unlike the Goobinator, I've been out here working in the private sector. But remembering back to my youthful days when I was a younger man in my 20s, Dom, I had a job and I worked with this guy from Morocco named Jabbar. And Jabbar was a really cool guy and a really passionate sales guy, and he was actually pretty good at the job. But Jabbar had this little pooch belly, and Jabbar used to walk around and he would rub it in the workplace. He'd rub his belly, like Fancy Brian's doing right now. And anyways, my buddy Jabbar would look at me and he'd point at his belly and he'd say, "Bought and paid for." Yeah. Well, Dominic, I think that would be an apt description of the governor of the great state of Wisconsin. He's bought and paid for, like Jabbar's beer belly. Or as our buddy Bruce Murphy tells it at the online daily urbanmilwaukee.com, the best governor money can buy. I'm going to read from this piece, Dom, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and perhaps finish it. On Tuesday, Governor Scott Walker accused his Democratic opponent, Tony Evers, of being bought and paid for. A little projection, if you will, Dom, by special interests, namely labor unions, which contributed $1.5 million to the state superintendent of public instruction in his 3 campaigns for that office. Now, once upon a time, $1.5 million would have been a notable amount of money for a state campaign, but that was before Walker obliterated all spending records in Wisconsin, getting some $100 million in donations to his 3 gubernatorial campaigns, plus more than $42.6 million in spending by outside interest. Dom, that's about $142 million, according to our friends at the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. No governor in state history has gotten more money from special interest, and none have been so willing to champion policies these groups favor. 2 of his biggest supporters have been the Koch brothers, Charles and David, Dom, who have donated $4.8 million to Walker's campaign. And the state's biggest business group, Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, WMC, Dom, your friends, which have given him $9.5 million to his campaign.
Damn!
Walker's signature law, Act 10, which decimated public employee unions, was backed by the Koch brothers and WMC. The 2 groups also supported right to work, which makes it difficult to organize private unions, and which Walker had promised unions supporting him in 2014 that he would never support. But he signed it into law, in 2015. On to the presidential campaign, that other failure of monumental magnitude and great expense. But I read back from the Bruce Murphy piece.
Don't believe it when Scott Walker tells you. I should just, if I may, Curdy. The two groups supported the right to work law, which makes it difficult to organize private unions, and Walker promised unions supporting him in 2014. The unions that supported Governor Walker in 2014, I would not support right to work. And then he signed it in 2015.
I don't want it on my desk. I don't want it on my cabinet. I don't want it on my ottoman. It's on the back burner.
And then he signed it. Now it's not on any of those things, and now it's law.
Yeah, now it's in the law books. The first full list of laws supported by the Kochs and WMC, which Walker signed, is too long to include here. But here are a few of the highlights, Tom. They supported the manufacturing and agribusiness credit, a tax cut that has cost the state $1.4 billion with a B dollars, Tom. $1.4 billion, which has had a negative impact on jobs, leaving the state badly trailing the nation in the creation of manufacturing jobs. Contrary to Scott Walker's statistically significant small survey BLS crap that he rolls out. And, of course, by the time the gold standard survey, the 96% survey rolls around,
6 months later,
it's too late to vote the guy out of office. I tell you what, let's take a break right here. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll come back to this Bruce Murphy piece. We'll come back to the Walker bashing in just a moment. The original lie, of course, it was about jobs. This manufacturing and agribusiness tax credit. I mean, we've heard prior reporting, Dom. 11 Wisconsin millionaires and billionaires have been direct beneficiaries of this tax credit to the tune of $22 million. 11 taxpayers got a $22 million break. That's a sweet deal.
Hell
Manufacturers paying 0.4% taxation. A minimum wage employee pays more in taxation than their millionaire manufacturing
and of course,
boss would on the profit of their corporation.
What does this make them do? Well, it makes them cash out. If you own, these companies, you cash out now because chances are long-term taxes will eventually go up again. So you take the money out now. When taxes go up, perhaps then you reinvest it into your employees and into your equipment and so forth. But right now, when it's so cheap to take it, you take it. And that's what they're doing.
Well, Dominic, when you're paying a 0.4% tax rate, it can't go any lower. Of course, it's got to go up. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocate. Phone lines open. 844-967-2789.
What would you say you do here?
I like to work, so that's not a problem, but this is actually more work.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
$100 billion.
I love being governor.
Hi, this is Demi, pharmacist at Hyatt, locally owned pharmacy in the community of Milwaukee. Simplifying lives, one prescription at a time is our goal. Do free delivery of your medications to your home and at work. All your meds are brought together in one convenient dosage package individualized to your medication needs. We set up a house call with a licensed pharmacist to assist with medication management. We accept all insurance plans. To learn more about Hyatt, visit our website, HAYATRX.com.
Every day, we see more and more divisiveness in our country. And a president in Donald Trump who tweets and shouts and tries to distract us from getting things done in our community. But in Wisconsin, we have a senator who's fighting back and staying focused on what matters. It's Tammy Baldwin who's fighting to make health care affordable and protect people with pre-existing conditions like cancer and diabetes. She wrote the Partners Act to help men and women get vocational and technical training for jobs that can support a family. And it's Tammy Baldwin who has introduced the Fair Chance Act that would ban the box. So anyone seeking a job who's been previously incarcerated doesn't have to check a box at the beginning of the hiring process. Every day, we have a senator who's focused on what matters.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamster Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. 844-967-2789 is the phone line. I got a little bit more on this piece from Bruce Murphy at the Urban Milwaukee. The best governor money can buy, referring to the Koch brothers and WMC. Of course, we talked about the manufacturing and agricultural tax credit, which cost the state $1.4 billion, and of course had a negative impact on jobs. But I continue from Bruce Murphy. The two groups, the Kochs and the WMC, supported Walker's policy, making it harder for people to get food stamps, and a law Walker signed that allows an estimated 1 million acres of wetlands to be destroyed, which was called the worst conservation bill in a generation by the Wisconsin Wildlife Federation. They also supported a far-ranging law signed by the governor that makes it much harder for state agencies to amend or create new rules to protect the environment, consumer rights, public health, and safety in other areas of concern. Even a slight connection to the Koch brothers seems to count. Walker backed off a plan to create the Wisconsin Lake Michigan National Marine Sanctuary, encompassing over 1,000 square miles of Lake Michigan and protecting 37 shipwrecks and 80 unexplored potential shipwrecks after opposition arose from an activist connected to the Koch brothers and from Tea Party activists. By itself,
Dominic, I would say the entire Walker governorship has been a shipwreck, a train wreck. It's been a wreck.
By itself, the WMC had massive clout with Walker, bragging that it has won policy victories too numerous times to mention, including repeal of the state's moratorium on metals mining, repealing the state's alternative minimum tax, which is generally paid by wealthier taxpayers, repealing the personal property tax exemption on machinery, which is estimated to save businesses $74 million a year, and improving the massive Foxconn subsidy, which has grown to $4.1 billion in state and local incentives. Walker signed a law backed by the WMC and opposed by environmental groups, was no longer classified slag as solid waste in some cases, though it can be contaminated with thallium and manganese. Other laws pushed by WMC, which he signed, included one loosening state restrictions on fish farms and a law giving businesses more protection from civil lawsuits, including reducing from 6 to 3 years the statutes of limitations for lawsuits involving liability, fraud, rights violations, and injury to character. And Walker favors a state subsidy for Kimberly-Clark that would give the company the highest giveaway per job in state history, tied with that given to Foxconn. This, too, is supported by the WMC and, of course, Kimberly-Clark, whose executives and employees gave the governor $5,300. Walker created the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, WEDC, to replace the Department of Commerce. Has been a dismal failure at creating jobs, but a roaring success at garnering campaign donations. One Wisconsin Now found that 60% of the money awarded by WEDC went to companies that donated $2.1 million to Walker. And a Legislative Audit Bureau report found that hundreds of millions in tax credits, grants, and loans authorized since 2011. The WEDC, quote, cannot be certain about the number of jobs actually created or retained as a result of any awards. In fact, only 12.5% of contract awards even had an expected result of job creation or retention. And finally, Crudy, then I'll turn it over to you. Another big Walker donor is the National Rifle Association, which
thoughts and prayers, Don. Thoughts and prayers.
Spent $3.5 million to elect Walker in his first 3 campaigns for governor, and he has backed numerous pro-gun bills, including the concealed carry law and eliminating the 48-hour waiting period to buy a gun.
Dominic, Big Ag has also been a big Walker supporter and beneficiary. Under Walker, the state DNR has been much less tough on pollution caused by agricultural interest, which had donated $33 million to Walker by August of 2016. The DNR also backed a 2017 legal settlement giving factory farms more leeway to discharge waste. And Walker signed a bill supported by agricultural groups and the WMC, which reduced state oversight of high-capacity wells, which has caused some rivers, lakes, and streams to shrink or dry up during the summer, damaging fish, wildlife, and habitat. Diminishing. Think of Scott Walker's approval ratings. Walker even supported a law legalizing hemp, which farm groups who gave the governor $1.3 million wanted. Another Walker ally is the real estate industry, Dom, the WRA, which has contributed $3 million to the governor and gotten laws it supported passed. As I told you, as I do my continuing ed with the WRA, they brag about getting 49 of their 50 legislative priorities jammed through by this governor. I read on. Walker signed a law restricting inspections of rental properties by local governments, checking for electrical, plumbing, rodent, or mold problems, and other possible violations. Another law reduced state lead painting inspection and testing requirements, and another makes it easier and faster for landlords to evict tenants and dispose of personal property that is left behind, as the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign reported. And let's not forget the always powerful construction industry, which has donated $6 million to Walker. In return, nearly 6 dozen bills backed by the Builders Association have become law, mostly since 2011 when Walker and the GOP gained control of state government. Oftentimes, bills signed by Walker were supported by a constellation of groups donating to him, including a law that restricts the ability of local governments to control stormwater runoff. Think of the flooding in Madison, I read on, and resulting pollution, erosion, and flooding. The law was supported by the construction, real estate, and agricultural industries, who together had donated $15.3 million to Walker. Walker also supported the expansion of state spending on school vouchers. In return, received $1.3 million from wealthy pro-school choice donors. He got $483,000 from the public utilities and signed a bill giving them more power in rate disputes. And he got $161,000 from the logging and paper-making companies and signed a provision allowing the logging of 335,000 acres in Brule River, Black River, Cooley, Peshtigo River, Northern Highland American Legion, and Flambeau River State Forest. There's probably a political science book to be written someday on how the Walker era exemplifies the power of special interests in American government. Republican legislators were so appalled by how Walker larded his budget with giveaways, many requested special interests, that they removed 83 items. Now, I don't know if I'll get to the finish. I'll try. Walker has often portrayed himself as the victim of outside spending, and his latest attack on Evers is an example of that. Yet, in 2015, the governor signed into law a bill that made it much easier for wealthy individuals and outside groups to spend money in Wisconsin elections, and with good reason. For Walker has been the master at grabbing such money, raising $36.1 million and nearly $22 million, 64% of contributions coming from people outside the state in banking, manufacturing, construction, real estate, and other powerful sectors. Odds are they were later rewarded with legislation signed by Walker. More Devils. Will be right back.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A-plus ranking as a governor.
You shot me! You shot me right in the arm!
Make sure you remember in your thoughts, and more importantly in your prayers.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at Real Resistance Radio.
New terms and protests, workplace violence. I'm Barbara Cusack. A new twist as Christine Blasey Ford, who accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault, says she'll testify next week. The New York Times reports the conditions are that senators need to make sure the terms are fair and her safety is ensured. Correspondent Sutherland Serfati says protesters demonstrated in front of the offices of key senators who could provide the swing votes in Kavanaugh's bid to be seated as a Supreme Court justice.
Many of the protesters today were survivors of sexual assault, and many of them in those offices told those stories, many of them with tears streaming down their eyes. So really trying to bring a human face to a lot of the things that we're talking about up here when we're talking about these allegations against Kavanaugh.
4 people are dead, including the female shooter in a workplace shooting in Aberdeen, Maryland, that also left 3 wounded. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says this gun violence needs to stop.
We know there are things that we can do to reduce the death toll from gun violence, and it's simply gross negligence that we're not doing it on a national level. Again, not any particular incident I'm talking about, but if you look at the tragedies around the country.
The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New York has hired a former federal judge, Barbara Jones, to review its procedures and protocols for handling allegations of sexual abuse. Cardinal Timothy Dolan says he has ordered the review because New York Catholics demanded
accountability, transparency, and action.
Former rap mogul Marion Suge Knight pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter after being accused of running over 2 men, killing 1 in January of 2015. The Death Row Records co-founder entered the plea today in Los Angeles Superior Court and has agreed to serve 28 years in prison. The Dow closed at a record high today, beating a mark set in January. The Dow added 251 points for the day. The S&P was up 23. The Nasdaq added 78 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Ever worry that the anonymous millionaires are setting the agenda for our community with little or no accountability? I do. That's why I joined Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. My fellow members and I want to build a powerful and lasting progressive movement. Together, we can help determine the agenda in our own communities. Then we work with professional organizers and a team of leading strategists to make that agenda happen. We're working on health care, economic justice, child poverty, electing progressive candidates, and more. And our Radio Active campaign supports this station and the Resistance Radio Network. So, won't you come help us build a movement?
Become a member of the Citizen Action Organizing Co-op. Go to citizenactionwy.org.
The Day of Atonement for Shia Muslims begins at sundown.
Ashura commemorates the death of Hussein ibn Ali, grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. Some Shia Muslims stage large public rituals involving bloody self-flagellation or cutting as symbolic links with the suffering of Hussein, whose death led to the division of Islam into the Shiite and Sunni sects. In many places, Shiite Muslims organize blood donation drives with the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies. I'm Evan Haining.
Country music artist Carrie Underwood got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today. Underwood won American Idol back in 2005 and has since earned 7 Grammys, 6 CMA Awards, 18 CMT Awards, and dozens more. Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable NFL team for a 12th straight year. Forbes says the Cowboys are worth $5 billion, up 4% from last year. The team's value nearly twice the league average. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the food. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Stu Daniels, host of Stu Man PM, Politics and Music, heard every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. here on Real Resistance Radio. Stu Man PM is your Sunday afternoon update on 2 of my favorite topics, politics, and music. Join me this Sunday, Bruce Springsteen's birthday, when my guest will be former candidate for governor Andy Gronick. We'll be talking politics, we'll be talking music. Stu Man PM, Sundays 4 to 6 p.m. here on Real Resistance Radio.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. A gunman wounded 4 of his co-workers at a software company in Middleton yesterday. The man was shot and killed by police. A federal judge has ordered the state to cover transition surgeries for transgender employees. Racine Common Council member Sandy Widener has brought attention to what she calls a case of secrecy and concentrated power in local government by uncovering a petition for access to public records that have been sealed by a Racine County judge. The China Lights Lantern Festival starts this weekend at Berner Botanical Gardens. And the Brewers beat the Reds last night 7-0. They have off today. Then they go to Pittsburgh for a 3-game series with the Pirates starting tomorrow night. The Crew have 9 games left on the season. They are 2.5 behind the Cubs in the division race and 3 games ahead of the Cardinals in the wild card race. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gosted.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, and we are always happiest when there's audience participation at 844-967-2789. I understand Dave from Fall River has been a patient man. So before we commence with more of the Walker bashing, let's get to Dave on the phones. Dave, thank you for calling. What do you got for us, sir?
Hi, guys. You had me laughing here today.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, you forgot one big one that Walker, he just loves going out and meeting with people at, cafeterias and stuff like that, just off the cuff, I don't think
invitation-only cafeteria meetings?
Right. And then another thing is these political ads. I was watching our show the other day, and Clayfish was on 3 times, and then there was the one against Evers once, and then there was one for President Trump about 45, how his best president ever. All within an hour.
Oh, I can't wait for this election season to be over, Dave.
I saw a political ad in support of Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination yesterday. That was a new one on me.
I haven't seen that, but I've seen the president one. I couldn't believe that one. Best president ever.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much. I'm going to put you down for Governor Walker, governor for the people.
Yeah, right.
I think you're putting words in the man's mouth, Dominic. 844-967-2789. Call in and Dom will put words in your mouth.
Yes.
Dominic.
Walker bashing. We're going to do some more Walker bashing.
Yes.
We're not done yet.
I think we've got some more Walker bashing to do. You know what? Scott Walker is, Dom?
What's that?
As the kids would say, he's whack.
Yeah. Is that how the kids talk?
Yeah, the kid's like, Tony Evers, gubernatorial candidate on the Democratic side. Tony Evers considers a range of tax hikes and cuts as he calls Scott Walker's priorities out of whack. Well, I guess he called him out of whack. I think he called him whack, Don, but I'm going to read. Democrat Tony Evers said Thursday he is considering a broad range of changes to Wisconsin's taxes if he beats GOP Governor Scott Walker this fall. Let's just say when I beat him. Evers, the state school superintendent, told reporters after delivering his State of Education speech that he was contemplating eliminating a tax break for manufacturers and farmers, increasing income taxes on the wealthy, and cutting income taxes for others. Here's a quote. "I think we need to prioritize the working men and women of Wisconsin," he said. He added, "There's no definitive plans at this time." Well, make it definitive, Tony. It is out of whack that manufacturers and agribusiness people, the millionaires and billionaires in the state of Wisconsin, have cost us $1.4 billion.
Billion.
$1.4 billion and counting. They have an effective tax rate of 0.4%. You know, the average working stiff pays up to, 7.5% on his state taxes. So the manufacturer's employees pay the full tax rate, just not the guy who gets the cash, the big checks at the end, Dom. And as you mentioned, and I'll reinforce just momentarily, when you incentivize a business to cash out, when you say all the profit you make is effectively tax-free, 0.4%, but what's a few pennies off the dividend check? Well, you have effectively incentivized that business to cut cost. And what's the greatest cost at many businesses, Dom?
Labor.
Oh, yeah, the employees. Back to the Tony Evers piece. Why don't you pick it up, buddy?
I will continue. Patrick Marley in the Journal-Sentinel. Evers made his comments shortly after Republicans contended that he would boost property taxes and income taxes if elected and could raise the gas tax by as much as $1 a gallon because, Crudy, everything's on the table. Why not $10 a gallon? Republicans.
Why not $1 billion a gallon? I mean, since you're just making it up and grabbing from ass, why not make up a really ridiculous statement?
Evers said he is considering increasing the gas tax of 32.9 cents per gallon to pay for roads, but not as much as the Republicans claimed. It's ridiculous, he said, of the notion of quadrupling the gas tax. Who the hell would, frankly? Crudy. Governor Walker's going to take some exception with that foul language.
H-E double hockey sticks. How dare you, Tony Evers?
Don't take the Lord's name in vain. I continue. Patrick Marley, Journal-Sentinel. Evers refused to say how much of an increase he would accept. He said he wanted to work with Democratic and Republican lawmakers on the best way to fix roads and would consider imposing higher taxes or implementing tolls to do so. Ahead of Evers'
Tolls are a no-go, Tony. Tolls are a no-go.
Ahead of Evers' speech and news conference, Republicans on the legislature's budget committee said Evers' plans would result in big tax increases. Quote, from Rep. Mark Dorn from Beaver Dam. Tony Evers could destroy all that we've accomplished with his reckless spending and massive tax increases that would be needed to support that spending.
Dominic, if the massive tax increases described by Mark Dorn, and of course, the lies of the Republican Party, but if he's telling the truth, what if the massive tax increase is recapturing the $1.4 billion that we squander as a state, giving it away to manufacturers to incentivize them to turn around and fire their employees and cash out? Is that squandering? Is that a massive raise in taxes if we just tell billionaires they got to pay at the same tax rate as the working stiff like Fancy Brian?
Right.
That's whack, Dom.
That's whack. In his education address, Evers called for increasing school payments by $1.4 billion over 2 years and targeting funds to those who are poor, have special needs, or are learning English. Right now, Wisconsin priorities are out of whack, Evers said in his speech. Today, in Wisconsin, we're spending less on our public schools than we did 8 years ago, putting us below the national average. And these choices have consequences. Continuing, Evers said voters already have shown a willingness to accept higher taxes to improve schools. A Marquette University Law School poll this week found that 57% of voters had that view, and Evers noted communities across the state have voted in recent years to raise their property taxes to fund schools. State leaders in Madison aren't getting the job done, so people of Wisconsin are doing it themselves, he said in his speech. Folks, the pendulum is swinging back to a time when we value an investment in our kids' futures and demand our leaders do the same, where we value working together to build up schools and communities instead of adopting policies and politics that tear each other down. Evers released a 2-year school plan this week that includes more than $600 million over 2 years for special education, or about $4,000 per child with disabilities. He would also devote $63 million to mental health services, fund all-day kindergarten for 4-year-olds, and provide state support for after-school programs. In all, his plan would bring state support for schools to $15.4 billion over 2 years, an increase of the aforementioned $1.4 billion, or 10%. Under his plan, the state would cover 2/3 of education costs, a level set by former Governor Tommy Thompson that has not been met for years, Crudy.
Dominic, let me ask you, did I hear the math correctly? The shortfall, the differential that Tony Evers proposes to close in the education funding is equivalent to the tax break that millionaires and billionaires have gotten here in the state of Wisconsin. Did I hear you correctly, Dom? Was it, in fact, $1.4 billion?
It is exactly $1.4 billion, the same amount of money which the manufacturing and agricultural credit has cost us.
Now, Dom, this term, whack, I wanted to look it up. I want to make sure I was reflecting the proper usage and see if Tony is properly describing the governor of the state of Wisconsin as whack. So I went to the consummate source, Dom, the Urban Dictionary, and I've got the definition for you. Whack, something that just plain sucks or isn't cool at all. Lame. Well, I would say that entirely describes Governor Scott Walker.
That's whack.
I guess there's a little more in this piece. Evers said his education plan would not increase property taxes statewide, but Republicans contend individual districts could see increases. Walker has not
Aren't
said...
they raising their... I'm
right.
sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
buddy.
They're doing it right now through referendum, right?
Yes! And the vast majority of those polled at the Marquette University Law School poll say it is a greater priority to them to see the schools properly funded than see any more tax relief, especially the sort of tax relief given to the millionaires in the billionaire class, Tom, like the manufacturing and agribusiness tax credit.
Walker has not said how much money he would put towards schools if he wins re-election. Bourne and Senator Tom Tiffany, who both sit on the legislature's Budget Writing Joint Finance Committee, said it was too soon to say how much the state could put towards schools, but Evers' $1.4 billion was far too much when taking into account the state's other needs. I would swear Christmas is around the corner after listening to Tony Evers, and the stockings are going to be stuffed full, Tiffany said. But we all know that those bills have to be paid. Are we going back to the Dark Doyle days, he asked, referring to Walker's Democratic predecessor, Jim Doyle. The Doyle days. In his news conference, Evers said he wants to dissolve the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation and reconstitute the state of Department of Commerce to oversee efforts to create jobs and draw businesses to Wisconsin. Of course, Walker replaced the Department of Commerce with Weedick in 2011.
Dominic, I think the Republican criticism of Tony Evers is pretty whack. I mean, it's whack, man. Just saying.
Tony Evers, he'll raise property taxes, raise income taxes, raise the gas taxes by as much as $1 a gallon, Walker said, and that would put all of our jobs at risk. Wisconsin is working. We can't afford to turn back now. New ad from Walker today. The education governor.
Dominic, I think there's only one guy whose job's at risk, and he's pretty whack, and he needs to go. He's the Goobinator. He's Scott Walker. Whack Walker.
Oh.
Whoa. Whack Walker. We should get a website going. Wacky Walker. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. Try not to be wacky or whack. We're never lame. That's the governor.
He's just not the education governor or the roads governor. Let's not forget, he is the pre-existing condition governor.
Yeah, that statement, the wackest of them all. Come back with us. Join us on the phones. They're toll-free and open for you at 844-967-2789. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Real Resistance Radio, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee, 1580 Columbus, Madison.
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
That's whack.
Because 1 in 5 black men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer within their lifetime, the Prostate Health Education Network joins with Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin to present the Prostate Health Education Symposium. This free event will be held on Saturday, September 29th from 8 a.m. until noon at Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church, 3456 North 38th Street in Milwaukee. A complimentary breakfast will be served. Up-to-date information and materials will be provided to men at risk, diagnosed, and those living as survivors of prostate cancer. This symposium also educates spouses, caregivers, and loved ones on how to best support these men. Attend to learn from experts, ask questions, and get the knowledge you need. For more information and to register, please call 414-955-8819. That's 414-955-8819 or visit prostatehealthed.org.
Hey, Batman here. Matt Rothschild from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Hoping you'll support us as we track all that dark money that's splattering your screens with mud. You can count on us to tell you who really runs Wisconsin, and it's not Walker, Fitzgerald, and Voss. They're just the water boys for the Koch brothers, WMC, the NRA, and Diane Hendricks. You can find all this out at our website at wisdc.org, and while you're there, please send us a donation so we can keep after these bad guys.
We got Mark Polk and Libya Bone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
We are back. Thank you for listening. We are the Devil's Advocates. This is Real Resistance Radio, and you can call the party line, talk or text, toll free, 844-967-2789.
The audience can call the party line, Dom. I'm calling an audible right now. I found some new Walker bashing. This at the AP Wire service. I quote the headline, Dom, and the beginning is a quote. It's in quotation marks. Filled with hatred and anger, Governor Walker bemoans attack ads in new spot blasting Evers. He did an attack ad blasting attack ads. How ironic, Dom. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is bemoaning the volume of attacks in the race for governor in a new ad released Thursday, even as he blasts his Democratic opponent in the same spot. The latest Walker ad comes 2 days after a poll showed Democrat Tony Evers, the state superintendent, with a slight lead, I would say outside the margin of error, 5-point lead. 7 weeks before the election, Walker and his allies have themselves spent millions of dollars in attack ads. The Republican governor has claimed that Democrats are filled with hatred and anger, Dom. That's so whack, and said that he is running an extremely positive campaign. On Wednesday, Walker tweeted that Evers was bought and paid for by unions and cited spending by unions to help Evers in his earlier state superintendent campaigns. Unions and union-affiliated groups spent $1.5 million to help Evers on his 3 races. That's 1, 2, 3. So divide $1.5 million by 3 races, about $500,000 a race, right?
Right.
Well, Walker received nearly $43 million from outside groups for his 3 past gubernatorial races. So what's that? About a 43-to-1 ratio, Dom? This all sourced from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Evers spokesman Sam Blau accused Walker of trying to rewrite his whack record is part of a scorched earth campaign of false smears. Walker, the Republican Governors Association, the State Republican Party, a conservative group that's part of the billionaire David Koch network, and the State Chamber of Commerce have poured an estimated $10 million into TV ads in the governor's race since Evers won the Democratic primary August 14th, Dom. So in the last 6 weeks, these Walker allies have spent $10 million, and I would say primarily on negative ads against Tony Evers.
Yeah, but Evers, that he's bought and paid for by a group that, gave him $500,000 per election cycle. I mean, if that's the threshold, let's just say we'll go with what Governor Walker says, right? $500,000 or more per election cycle means you're bought and paid for. How many special interest groups is Walker beholden to? I mean, we went
all
over
of them.
Every
Pretty much
single
all of them.
one.
Sorry, getting a little sip of something. Got to wet the whistle, Many of the ads, talking about the $10 million in ads that Walker allies have targeted Tony Evers with in the last 6 weeks. Back to the piece. I found this at the channel3000.com. Many of the ads have focused on a teacher who was caught viewing pornographic images on his school computer. Evers did not revoke his license to teach, saying the law didn't allow him to do so at the time. One Walker campaign ad this month refers to oral sex while showing images of young girls on the screen. Another Republican Party spot showed the image of a man unbuckling his belt. Always love seeing that one right at the dinner table, Dom. The state party has also sent full-color print mailers referring to teacher discipline cases where Evers did not revoke licenses to argue that he can't be trusted to protect our kids. In the latest Walker TV ad, he speaks, talking about the gubernator, Dom, directly to the camera and says, with all of the attack ads these days, it's easy to forget positives like lower property taxes, strong schools, and more people are working now than ever. Well, more people were working last month than are working this month in the state of Wisconsin. But I read on, Dom. Walker then goes on to criticize Evers. Ironic. This man knows no irony, Dom, or shame. Walker then goes on to criticize Evers, saying he'll raise property taxes, income and gas taxes, and that this would put our jobs at risk, specifically Scott Walker's. Evers says all options, including raising the gas tax, should be considered to help improve the condition of the state's 49th worst roads in the nation. This week, he called for 10%. I'm sorry, man. Somebody's calling me in the middle of me reading this fine article. This week, he called for 10% increase in state aid to schools and said it could be funded without raising property taxes. Yeah, just roll back the manufacturing and agribusiness tax credit, Dom. You might get there from here.
Walker will never do that.
Folks, we are the devil's advocates. No, that's why he's got to go. I mean, just for fairness, out of a sense of fairness to the citizens of the state of Wisconsin, why should we pay more so billionaires can pay literally or very close to nothing? We're the devil's advocates. Phone lines open for you, 844-967-2789. We'll get some reaction and some updates on the Middleton mass shooting from yesterday. Come right back. More of us.
Baby, it's all right now.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written?
I know you are, but what am I? 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 Infinity.
That's whack.
I don't see any reason why it would be.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Five9, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy five9s.com.
Here's how you get them. If someone invites you for a cocktail, you bring them beer. If someone invites you to dinner, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way.
Here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, president of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
travel,
protection,
ability,
friendship,
excitement,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police, devastation,
injury, death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Real Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 6 to 8 a.m. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 8 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's the Brian Kelly Show. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, my name is Keith Gosted. A federal judge has ordered Wisconsin to cover transition surgeries for transgender UW employees. U.S. District Judge William Conley said there is no legally valid reason to exclude medically necessary care for employees. He also called some of the state's arguments, quote, unhinged from reality. The judge said the current policy violates Title VII, the Affordable Care Act, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Rain this morning, cloudy this afternoon, highs around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a chance of rain. Lows in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, low 60s in Madison. Friday, partly sunny, temperatures falling through the day to the low 60s by about 5 p.m. Saturday, mostly sunny and cool, highs only in the low 60s. For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Keith Gosted.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
There's something happening here.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, this reminds me of the old times, the good times, when Barack Obama was the president and the world didn't seem so asunder and crazy to me. And the Devil's Advocates was a fine little Saturday show on Heartless Radio in Madison. Man, I saw a guy today. I was picking up some lunch to go, and the man standing next to me looks at me and he says, Crudy. I said, I am. He said, hey, man, I've been missing you guys in Madison for the last couple of years. He goes, you guys used to do such great work. And I'm like, used to do? We're putting the greatest radio show ever together. And amazingly, each and every day, it's just a little better. We raise the bar each and every day. And he said, yeah, I tried listening on 1510. I said, try 1580. Go out to your car, set your preset right now. So he did. And I appreciate it. And I hope he's listening right now.
Nice.
So the guy I saw at Gino's during lunch today, Gino's not a sponsor, although they could be of this fine program. The lunch was good, and the company not so bad.
844-967-2789. You could be our company here on Real Resistance Radio. The Devil's Advocates. B from Grafton. Yo, B, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Not much. Just got home from work and hearing you guys talk about Scott Walker. And, back in 2010, I remember reading an article about the 250,000 jobs. And it was in the Journal, and they were saying that number, he should have hit that number in his first 4 years, no problem.
Yeah, had it not been for his act of dropping the bomb, Act 10 is the point where we split from other Midwestern states. When you basically force austerity on all the state workers in the state of Wisconsin, you could say it's contribute more to your health care, contribute more to your retirement, but effectively it was a cut in net pay, and we lost lots and lots of great teachers in the state of Wisconsin, and that is when we lost the battle of job creation. It is directly a result of Scott Walker's own policies, why he could never keep the big promise or goal, depending on who's asking.
Yeah, there was, $6,000 in pay easily a year? A lot of state workers lost at a minimum.
Yeah, so, multiply that across, something approaching 100,000 state workers, it starts adding up to be a big number. But any other thoughts on the Wankinator today, sir?
I just was thinking of your buddy Glenn for a new campaign slogan for Scott Walker. Scott Walker with less rashism.
Now with less rashism.
Hey, B, thank you for the call. The less racist governor. Hey, we remember Crudy. Brian pulled it up, and B, thanks for reminding us. Let's play it for the people. The promise, the goal, the dream that never was.
The 250,000 is my floor, not my ceiling. I think it's at least 250,000 jobs.
We're going to do well with the voters because what I hear overwhelmingly is they want help with jobs.
250,000 is a minimum. It's just the base.
I was elected last year largely because I have a plan, a specific detailed plan to help the private sector of our state create 250,000 jobs.
Well, the only campaign I'm focused in on is to create 250,000 jobs here in the state. And I think as long as I stay focused on that, as long as we try to bring, at least in the legislature, Republicans and Democrats together to help the people of the state create more jobs, I think we're going to be fine.
I'll be judged in my state, and I suppose ultimately by anybody else, by how effective I am at helping the people of our state create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it.
And we're still not there. And
that's why he needs 4 more years, though.
He still wants your vote. What has he done?
Well, he has not been held accountable to his big fat lie, his failed promise. The electorate of the state of Wisconsin has given the man a new job despite the fact that he's a big fat welder.
844-967-2789 if you would like to join us.
I think the electorate's starting to catch on. What do you think?
I think so. I think we beat the drum nonstop. I think that the policies of the Republicans in the state of Wisconsin have not boded well for the working folks of the state, and we've dropped behind statistically all of our neighbors. We're not collecting taxes on those who have every ability to pay them. And yet, you and I, Crudy and Brian and everyone listening here, you all got to pay. You don't get 0.4%. You don't get the incentive to cash out now because eventually the pendulum will swing back. You will have to perhaps pay as much taxes as, the neighbor down the street. But, that is one of the reasons why we've lagged behind. And what does that mean? Well, that means we got to borrow more money. Well, where's the fiscal conservatism? Where's the gap accounting, Governor Walker? You remember these things? Crudy, you and I were doing shows back then. I remember the promises this man made. And he fails to follow through and show up for them time and time again. Now, those are the promises made on television to the people. The promises that he makes behind closed doors to the special interests, to WMC, to the Koch brothers, to mining interests, to lead paint manufacturers. Those are the promises he keeps.
Now, Dom, when you talk about gap accounting, some might suspect that's the gap between what Scott Walker borrows and what is actually available to him, since he, cut the taxes, fails to raise taxes. I think some might misinterpret, what does gap accounting mean?
Every publicly traded company in this country, and most small businesses as well, use gap accounting, generally accepted accounting principles, versus, say, cash accounting, which is more of a modified cash accounting that the government does. And what's the difference between those two?
You mean the Wisconsin government does under Scott Walker, despite his policy and his promise to change the policy to gap accounting, but please continue.
So Governor Walker has falsely claimed he solved a $3.6 billion budget deficit. I implore anybody, you can jump on the Department of Administration website. You can see the numbers, the CAFR reports, everything is there. Nowhere ever is there any number that comes close to $3.6 billion. It's a hoax. It's a lie. It never, ever happened. But back to the gap accounting. If you run gap accounting and you have money in your bank right now, but you have liabilities and obligations next month or the following month, you have to take those into account when you're looking at your financials. If you run cash accounting, if you run Walker's kind of accounting, here in the state of Wisconsin, if the state has $1 in the bank, they are flush. They don't take into account future obligations. Hence, that's why you get these different numbers. Now, the CAFR reports and the cash reports coming out of the Department of Administration, they do take these things into account. They will modify the reports so you can actually see, if we were running with gap accounting, what the deficits would be. And they've gotten down to what? I heard Trump even say about $2.2 billion. Point being is that they manipulate the numbers. They don't follow through. And Governor Walker, which I would have applauded him for, yes, let's take a realistic look at how we actually do the accounting in the state of Wisconsin. So people, because what do we want? I want transparency. I want knowledge. People should know how their tax dollars are being spent. It should be very, very clear. But when the governor stands up and says, hey, I solved a $3.6 billion budget deficit, first thing you should ask yourself is, why the hell is this man a governor? If someone could solve a $3.6 billion problem in 1 year, that person should be self-employed, should be on Wall Street, should be dedicating
managing hedge funds.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? What a joke, because of course it did not happen. If you were a $4 billion turnaround guy, you wouldn't be a losing governor of the state of Wisconsin. Sorry.
Well said.
A little rant there.
Passionate little Sicilian.
Oh, it just pisses me off, man.
I know. It's like you want to hold the guy accountable to his promises and accounting practices. That sort of stuff, Dom. Well, how naive, how quaint of you to try to hold the man accountable.
We should all demand that accountability. We demand more from our radio hosts and our bartenders than we do from our politicians that should never, ever fly. Scott Walker could not walk into a bar and preach that trash without getting popcorn thrown at him.
Dominic, here's another big lie. Guy Bolton at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I'm going to start this piece before the break. Would the Wisconsin legislature be willing to adopt many of the provisions of the Affordable Care Act? ? Seems unlikely under current Republican rule, Dom. That would have to happen for Governor Scott Walker to make good on his newest promise last week to ensure that people with pre-existing health conditions have access to insurance in Wisconsin and 19 other states if they succeed in having the law declared unconstitutional. Here's one reason. The Affordable Care Act requires insurers to cover specific health benefits, including prescription drugs, for almost every medical condition. Without a similar requirement in state law, insurers would sidestep any requirement that they cover pre-existing health conditions. Like it used to be before Obamacare, and you could get kicked from your policy. I read on. They could do this by not including some services or costly drugs in the health plan's benefits. Here's a quote. Insurers could go back to providing whatever they want to provide, said Karen Politz, a senior fellow at the Kaiser Family Foundation, which does research on health policy. That holds true up to a point. State law requires insurers to provide common health care services through though the regulations do not include some benefits required under the Affordable Care Act and do not include prescription drugs, says J.P. Weisky, Deputy Commissioner of the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. Here's a look at some of the questions raised by Walker's big fat lie, promise last week. What was behind the governor's promise to ensure coverage for people with pre-existing conditions? Well, Dom, I would say a lie. But let me read. The governor made his promise after attacks in the gubernatorial race for Wisconsin's participation in a federal lawsuit to have the Affordable Care Act declared unconstitutional. Wisconsin and 19 other states filed the lawsuit in Texas in February. On September 5th, a hearing was held on the state's request for a preliminary injunction suspending the Affordable Care Act, or at a minimum, striking down parts of the law that prohibit health insurance companies from not covering people with pre-existing health conditions or charging them higher rates. So this is not hypothetical. This is not speculative. This is a direct result of Scott Walker's own policy choice to direct his attorney general to sue to take away pre-existing condition benefits under Obamacare. I read on. The Trump administration has partially sided with the states, asking the court to strike down the protections for people with pre-existing conditions, but not the entire law. The administration is not seeking a preliminary injunction, citing the disruption it would cause in the market for health insurance sold to individuals and families who do not get health benefits through an employer. So, yeah, it's going to roil the insurance markets quite a bit, I would suspect. What would happen, asked Guy Bolton at the Journal-Sentinel, if the court granted a preliminary injunction? The 16 Democratic attorney generals who have intervened in the case would likely seek a stay. That would prevent the market for health insurance sold to individuals and families from being thrown into chaos less than 2 months before the open enrollment period begins to buy health plans for next year. In all likelihood, Wisconsin could take steps to counter a ruling only on pre-existing health conditions with minimal disruption to the market, provided the other provisions in the Affordable Care Act remain in place. A little bit more here, and we'll take a break. What happens if the Affordable Care Act is declared unconstitutional, as Scott Walker and Brad Schimmel seek, Dom? That's when things get messy. To start, without the safeguards in the Affordable Care Act, insurers would have multiple ways to avoid covering people with pre-existing health conditions, even if required to sell them insurance. If a health insurer didn't want to attract people with high medical costs, for instance, it could exclude expensive specialty drugs from its benefits or not cover drugs at all, said Kathy Mahaffey, Chief Executive Officer of Common Ground Healthcare Cooperative. Here's another quote, Dom. Everyone is welcome, she said, but you wouldn't necessarily have the coverage that you'll need for your pre-existing condition. To ensure that people with pre-existing health conditions have access to insurance, Mahaffey said, the state would have to mandate that health insurers cover certain benefits. Sounds like the Affordable Care Act, Dom. Let me read on briefly. It would also have to impose limits on annual and lifetime out-of-pocket expenses similar to those in the Affordable Care Act. In other words, they need to put in place the protections of the Affordable Care Act that they're hoping to eliminate through this lawsuit to destroy and rule unconstitutional the Affordable Care Act, Dom, because it's named after Obama.
Crudy, has the governor proposed covering people with pre-existing conditions? ? The response, Walker has not provided any details on how he would ensure that people with pre-existing conditions have access to health insurance.
That's whack. He has no plan.
In an email, Crudy, Walker's office did not respond to specific questions, but reiterated that the governor would call a special session in the time of the legislature to guarantee access to coverage. Now, here we go again. Governor Walker, no roads plan. We're supposed to have a roads plan sometime this month. No education plan. Oh, we're going to have an education plan sometime this month. No plan for protecting pre-existing conditions, but we'll get some sometime. We got big plans, just like he promised everybody 250,000 jobs 8 years ago.
Dominic, he doesn't have any plans, but he's got plenty of donors, and he's got plenty of attack ads. and plenty of projection. Because that's the only way this man can plausibly seek re-election is to appropriate from Tony Evers' campaign platforms and, of course, lie about his own. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. We aren't lying to you. This is the greatest radio show ever. Come back with us. Join us on the phones. Last segment for your calls today at 844-967-2789.
If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day on Real Resistance Radio. You can come at us at 844-967-2789. Let's jam some callers in here. Well, we got a few minutes left. Ron from San Diego, which I understand means whale's vagina. Ron, welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
How you guys doing?
All right, man.
Good, Ron.
So, hey, in California, this is what I think we should do. We can afford to send you guys like 200,000 voters, right? We send you 200,000 voters for like a 2 or 3 year period. Put them into key districts, win back the assembly and the state senate, and win back Democratic senators, and we're good. And we can do the same thing in Montana. We can send 100,000 people in Montana. We can still keep marijuana legal in all 3 states. We can tax the rich in all 3 states and get health care in all 3 states.
Ron, I love your plan, but of course Republicans would suggest all we would need to do is just bust those voters in for the day, and they'd all be illegally voting at the polls.
Yeah, as long as they come over in classic yellow school buses all lined up, like 100 of them in a row, then otherwise we got to make a point, Ron.
Put them on Route 66 to Chicago and drive them straight north, sir.
I think we just load those states with Democratic voters, and we do what we can.
Ron, appreciate the call, man. I certainly know where you're coming from. But I would say this. I think there's a lot of folks out there, and I have some family members and friends that have done this. You get out of Wisconsin, for example, you go to a different town, perhaps Chicago, New York, maybe you go out west. But you leave, right? You leave in your hometown. And I would think some people are coming back because they realize that, they're taking their values and they want life a certain way, and it's not happening where they're at, so they move to where it is. And I think some folks are going to realize that, well, in order to have it across the country, you need to plant that seed corn right here in Wisconsin, as our friend Ron Kine would say, and grow that organically in your home state.
Dominic, I've heard stories about people traveling internationally in Canada, and they say, where are you from? Oh, Wisconsin. And they go, Scott Walker, and they laugh at the people. I have heard that story. I make that not up.
844-967-2789. Pizza Box Mike, you are next. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
Hell yeah, they're laughing at us. They've been laughing at us for a long time. You know what? I don't think, some people would think Walker's trying to be all cuddly and running Walker Care and all this stuff because he wants to win an election. I think it's because he knows he's going to be looking for work, and as we all know, there's a skills gap there. So he's kind of trying to beef up the little social safety net for himself is what I'm thinking he's doing. The next thing you know, he'll be saying, good people do smoke marijuana.
Right.
Oh, talk about projection. I would be okay if he evolved on the issue, Mike.
Well, exactly. I mean, Scott, you want to make yourself into a hero? Run the other way. That's what he's trying to do, maybe. I don't know.
I hear
but yeah, we should hold everybody to that.
I hear Scott Walker was pretty fast in high school, ran track.
Yeah, he was in the sausage races at the Brewers Park. That's about how good a runner he was.
It is a sausage party. Thanks for the call, Mike. We certainly appreciate it. Crudy, you got an update on Middleton for us today?
Yeah, I do. A update from my senator, Tammy Baldwin. This one from the Associated Press. Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin says the shooting at a Middleton software company shows the need for gun control measures that are, and this is a quote, Dom, consistent with the Second Amendment. Baldwin said at a news conference Thursday that she supports universal background checks and banning rapid-fire bump stock devices. The push in Congress to ban bump stocks came after one was used in the Las Vegas shooting last year that was the deadliest in modern U.S. history, killing 58. Authorities have not indicated that such a device was used in the Middleton shooting. My understanding, it was a handgun, Dom. Baldwin said she is a gun owner. And I got to tell you, my friend, that comes as news to me. I didn't know Tammy was packing. Baldwin says she is a gun owner, and the Second Amendment is consistent with stronger safety regulations. She also praised first responders in Wednesday's shooting that left 3 seriously injured and the shooter dead. My understanding, Dom, the one victim has been upgraded, so that is good news. Jess Ward, the campaign manager for Baldwin's Republican opponent, Leah Vukmer, your girl, said Baldwin is spewing do-nothing nonsense to a serious issue. Isn't it the Republicans that have nothing to offer?
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. You got it right there, buddy. Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. You got it right. You were listening to the greatest radio show ever. Please do so. 5 weekdays, 3 hours each day. And then tune in Saturdays. Sometimes they play us in reruns. Sometimes overnight. You can listen on the stream. As long as you get a good, healthy dose of the Devil's Advocates every day. Like 3 hours of the devil. So keep the doctor away. It's a promise.
It's a big goal.
Have a great night. Thanks for listening, everyone.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Man, come on. I had a rough night, and I hate the f***ing Eagles, man.
That's whack.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions,